Trevor, give me your experience perspective, getting out of med school, into residency. What was your budgeting approach, your cash flow management? What did you do? What helped? What didn't work?
Sure. I mean, before med school, I went pretty much straight through. I took a little bit of time off, just by default because I ended up applying the fall after my senior year in college.
Okay.
But so yeah, there was that like kind of spring, summer default time off. But yeah, I was pretty much a regular going from college into med school.
Okay.
So I wasn't making any money, so it didn't really matter how much budget. It was just like, don't spend all the money in your bank account because you're making like a couple $100 a week kind of situation.
This was in
But
med
then
school?
getting into med school, that was like right before med school.
Okay.
Then getting into med school, and starting med school, I didn't think a lot about it, which is not surprising in any way, but
No.
I essentially was just like, okay, again, this is the money in my bank account. I wasn't working a job. I knew a few people that worked during med school, but it was usually like side gigs. I remember talking to a med student not that long ago who like grew tree frogs and like sold those, like kind of rare tree frogs. Unless you have like a random kind of like side gig or a pre-existing business, it's kind of hard to do in med school.
Oh yeah.
But you get your money from the student loan,
right.
Not, I want to say disbursement, right?
Disbursement, yeah, that's probably a good word.
Yeah, disbursement. At the beginning of the semester, so you just get like this big lump sum amount of money, and then it's supposed to last you the calendar year.
Which is, I've always had a problem with doing it that way. I feel like they could do a little more to help stretch it out a little bit, or break it up into
or even
chunks.
just to like, yeah, they should be breaking it up into little chunks because it's a great way for them to just make more interest. Slowly over that whole year. The earlier somebody gives you money, the more interest they make off of you holding on to it for a period of time.
Yeah, so that's probably why they do it. Right?
Yeah. I'm not sure the details on that of like when it starts accruing interest. I think it might actually be after you graduate.
And that's probably true on student loans, yeah.
I think it doesn't. I think it doesn't gain any interest until after you graduate. But regardless, they do give it to you up front, and it doesn't inspire, super rational decision making. I remember I bought like a $300 pair of glasses, sunglasses, and you don't need sunglasses most of the time. And this is an ophthalmologist talking. You could buy a really cheap pair, and they would pretty much get the job done. And most of them have nice filters and all the stuff you need for eye health.
Totally.
But anyways, like I can't imagine how much I actually paid for that, because usually depending on how long you wait along the way, a good 10 years later, you paid, at least probably twice as much. So that was like a $600 plus pair of $300 sunglasses.
Sure.
But yeah, so for budgeting, I wasn't doing a ton of budgeting. I was just trying not to spend money. And there was a period of time where I was planning on doing like international medical health stuff. So I was trying to keep it really tight, really minimum. And I just used Mint. That was not too much longer. Like that was kind of in the Mint heyday. Like I can't remember when it came out, but I want to say it came out in the mid to late 2000s, or got pretty big in the late 2000s. And I thought that was going to be like a great product, and they'd build it out. And I think a lot of people actually thought that. But I just had automated stuff for credit cards, and connected it with my student loans and different bank accounts, and kind of used that a little bit in residency, but it never ended up having like really feature build out. So I just did automated stuff and tried to ballpark some different categories. And I read the Dave Ramsey book, and I tried envelopes with cash, which is hilarious. Because nobody does that anymore. Nobody carries cash.
No, and that's part of the reason I don't, is because if I carry cash, I'll spend it, typically, is what I find. Even if it's in envelopes, it's going to float out of there.
Yeah. I mean, if I had an envelope of cash right now for my spending per month, like that would be an irresponsible amount of spending. Like imagine you like pulled it out and you actually did the full thing, and you included like your student loans.
Right.
Here's
$10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just, it's it's a good method. You know, it was a good method. I would say that's pretty much a retired method in my opinion.